Hello, David Radney. Thank you so much for joining. I so appreciate you coming on the call with me and sharing just a little bit of knowledge. Really quickly, if people don't know, this is David Radney, also known as D-Rad, 16 years in the real estate industry, which is insane. So selling real estate also as a coach. You founded P.U.S.H, which is prospect until success happens, which is amazing. If you're in real estate, absolutely, you know that is true. So we're going to talk and dive in a little bit with that. Also, famous for Scotch and Scripts, which you do on a weekly basis, right? You have conscious conversations with real estate agents mostly about how to just level up the real estate business. So did I leave anything out, David?
No, I think that's fantastic. I also do a call on Tuesday and Thursday mornings called the Morning Mindset Call, which is really about gratitude and affirmations and getting your day started right.
Awesome. Love it. So tons of value that you provide real estate agents. I love to see that, especially when you've had some success in whatever industry it is. I just love it when people, if they reach success and then go share it with others. I think that has such a bigger impact on the world and also says a lot about you and how you care for people and want to help other people level up. Why don't we get this started by you just sharing a little bit about your background and your story and you ended up in real estate and where you're at now.
Gotcha. I have a story about how I ended up in real estate. Now, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. I was living in Austin, Texas, and this was probably 2001. My church had a motivational speaker come in, and he said to the audience, "Tell me something that you've always wanted to do that you haven't done." I raised my hand, and he actually picked on me out of 1,000 people. My answer was buy investment property. And he said, "Well, why haven't you done it?" And it was just analysis paralysis. I was dragging my feet. And he said, "Do you really want to do it?" And I told him, "Absolutely, I do." And he said, "Are you willing to put your money where your mouth is?" That kind of got me. He said, "Do you have your checkbook with you?" And I did. So he had me write out a check for $1,000 and give it to someone I knew at church. And he asked me how long it would take me to get under contract. And I said, "Well, if I got purposeful, maybe in 2 months." He said, "Okay, we're going to give you 2 months. If you don't have a property under contract, this gentleman gets to cash that check for $1,000. That lit a fire under me like nobody's business.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
It was insane. I didn't want to write the check, but when you have everybody at church clapping, "Oh, David, do it." It just, you have to write the check, right? So 2 weeks later, I was under contract on the duplex. 2 weeks later.
Not 2 months, it's 2 weeks. Okay, let's go.
2 weeks. And I still have that property to this day. 20 years later, I still own that property. And that really got me started in real estate. I got a passion for it. I bought more property, realized that I could help friends buy investment property. And that turned into, this could be a career for me. And so I worked part-time for a while and then got into real estate full-time and haven't looked back since. But that's how I got into real estate, raising my hand at that motivational conference.
Wow. What if you wouldn't have done that? That's crazy. Just those little, it's like that is a defining moment of your life that it completely changed the trajectory of where you were headed. And that's absolutely incredible.
It absolutely did. And this actually allowed me to set up a legacy for my daughters, a financial legacy that I may not have had if I hadn't gone to that event and raised my hand. So I'm very thankful.
That's amazing. Well, speaking of that, tell us about your family and share if you don't mind.
So the Radney household is pretty interesting these days. So my wife and I, Michelle, have been married for 21 years. We have 2 daughters. My oldest, Taylor, is 16. She'll be 17 in 2 weeks. My youngest, Morgan, is 14. And she's the tallest one. She's 6 feet tall at 14. So you may not be able to tell sitting on Zoom, but I'm 6'4", and my wife is 5'9". So both our girls are pretty tall, and they're pretty active in sports, and great family. Like I feel very blessed to have the family that I have. We currently live in New Jersey. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and spent a lot of time moving around. I lived in Los Angeles, Austin, Houston, Dallas, and been in New Jersey for 10 years. So I've seen some great places, and it's been a great journey over the past 21 years.
Amazing. Well, thank you. You have an incredible story. Sounds like you have a beautiful family. As I was, researching about, I've been following you for a while. You've got, very healthy social media platforms and you're out there, you're helping people. And I'm like, this guy is a cigar smoking, scotch drinking, affirmation loving real estate coach. And I love that about you. Literally, It's fun, it's real, it's raw, and that's one thing that just drew me to your content, to you as a person, because it's like, you know what, you can love Jesus and you can love Scotch at the same time, and I think, it's
That's
like,
right.
I just think it's cool that you are you, and you're a good person, and
Thank
you like
you.
what you like, and fusing your passions and the uniqueness about you into your business, I just think is really cool. It gives other people permission to do the same things. Anyway,
I think you're right on that. And it also helped me in real estate. I moved to New Jersey and didn't know anyone. And
Mhm.
so to break into the industry here, I had to start posting on social media, and I had to show people who I was as a real estate agent, but also who I was as a person.
Yeah.
So as I posted about Scotch and cigars and my love of hiking and my love of grilling, people started to connect with me. And
Mhm.
that helped me build my sphere of influence. So I love sharing who I am, sharing my authentic self. It helps me connect with people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if I don't know if you're anything like me, but back when social media started, whatever, I'm like, no one cares what I'm eating. No one cares that my daughter just turned 3. No one cares, and so I had a bad mindset, frankly,
Uh-huh.
around social media. And I totally didn't see and understand like how you can build genuine connections through that, and how
Yes.
honestly I was leaving money on the table. Like, it's just, there's so much missed opportunity if you don't think of social media and putting yourself out there in the right way.
Mhm.
It's such an
Mhm.
amazing tool. Can it be used for bad and for evil? Absolutely. There's a lot of garbage out there, but even more so, a reason that, when you're a good person, you have something of value to share, that
That's right.
like the world needs that, more of that. So I feel like you understand that at a very high level, and then act on it and execute really well.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Jen.
Tell me about, you're very, very big, well, on a few things, but one
Yes.
thing that really caught my attention was your 137, and how you are very, very into that. You post about it a lot. And I think for a lot of us in business, where we're told that you have to grind, 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 and you can't just work 9 to 5 and build a great business, like you have to constantly be in it. How do you stick with it? And what has it done for your business? Like, but before you started it, if you can think back
Yes.
that far, what has been the impact of consistent implementation?
Great question. So here's what I'll tell you. I did not come up with the 137. Every morning I'm part of a coaching call, pivot shift call with James Shaw. And I was on there and heard someone talk about this concept of the 137, which is one day off a week where you're not doing anything real estate related, a 3-day weekend, right? Once a month, and then 7 days off every quarter. And I heard that and I'm like, that sounds great. Right.
See, I hear
However, it's scary. It's scary. And yet we get into real estate so that we can have flexibility, and then we end up working all day, every day, and not taking time off. And
Right.
so one thing I learned, I mean, think about it. When you take a vacation, how much work do you get done? Like a few days before you take that vacation, you get tons of work done. And that's when a lot of opportunities start showing up.
100%.
So I
Yeah.
find when I take more vacations, I actually get more business.
Hmm.
So the way that I actually do this, how am I able to do this, is I understand it's not about selling real estate. It's about following a schedule. So currently I'm planning for 2023. What's going on my schedule first? My 137.
Yep.
Vacation time with my family, my personal vacation time where I go camping and hiking and doing my nature photography. All that goes on my calendar first. And then I make sure that work fills the time around that. I think that's the way you have to be in order to be purposeful about taking time off. You have to put it on your calendar. If it's not on there, it does not exist. Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I practiced the one of the 137 even before I knew about the 137. When I was actually doing sales full time, I gave myself permission to take Friday afternoons off when I hit my goal for the week, when I hit my number of contacts, my number of appointments. If I hit that by Thursday, I took Friday off and I went and saw a movie in the afternoon.
Oh, fun. Okay.
And so I have been doing that for years, but not taking a full day off, just the afternoon. And when I got introduced to the 137, I started just taking Mondays off. Monday is my day that I don't work and do any real estate. I go out and I hike. I take nature and landscape photography, and that's my day. And what that really does for me, it allows me to get out of my head. I can do just like a dump of all the things that have happened in that previous week and
Mhm.
really focus on how I want the week to show up, what I want to focus on for that week. So it's it's been a godsend for me, and it allows me to clear my head, which allows me to show up as a coach, allows me to show up as a father, allows me to show up as a husband. So I think it's mandatory that we take some time off for ourselves.
When did you start implementing the 137? I know you did the one for a while, but the 137, when did that start?
It was earlier this year when I got really purposeful about doing the 137.
Okay.
And I do this thing called the 66-day challenge, where all the agents that I work with and I coach, I have them like, hey, what do you want to focus on? What do you want to get purposeful about? And we have this conversation about implementing the 137. And I decided I can talk about it. However, as a coach, I need to lead by example. And so I decided to just do it and put it on my calendar and start taking time off and speaking on it. And it really caught on. Everyone in my circle is starting to understand that by taking that time off, my business has grown, because when you work hard, you're working hard. When you're playing hard, you play hard. And when you have that type of balance, you show up differently.
Oh, absolutely. What has changed for you, or what has been the biggest impact?
I think the biggest thing is I'm being very intentional about growing my business when I'm working, because I know that I want to take those 7 days off. And in order for me to have the time to do that and have the finances to take those trips the way I want to travel, I need to be very intentional in my business and be very disciplined about growing my coaching business. So it just makes me show up differently. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to work, and I'll put all the work in so I can play hard.
For high driver personalities, hard for some of us. I'm sure the people that you coach, talk to, they're probably high drivers too, if they're having a coach. And I think so often we beat ourselves up for taking a day off, but just hearing that, like, actually it makes you work harder, because you know that, okay, I'm going to be taking some time off, so I better get my butt in gear to make this stuff happen and hit my goals, so that I don't feel bad and I'm not beating myself up when I actually take those vacations.
That's exactly right.
Makes you more of a productive business owner.
And your clients respect you more when you take some time off and you say, hey, I'm out this week, I'm taking a vacation. They actually respect that you're doing that for yourself.
Because agents ask me that same thing, like, especially when they're new to the real estate world, they have to be all things to all people. They have to be available at 10 p.m. at night and 5 a.m. in the morning. And if they don't get back to somebody right away, and it's like, no. Like, you're not going to attract your ideal client by doing that. So you're right. The people that respect you taking a break and time for yourself and for your family, those are the types of people you want to work with anyway.
We're professionals. I cannot call my doctor at 8 o'clock at night. I can't call a lawyer at 8 o'clock at night. They have working hours. Now, our working hours might be a little bit longer than a doctor or a lawyer. However, we need to have on our voicemail, hey, it's David. It's 7 p.m. If you're reaching me after 7 p.m., I'll get back with you the following business day. Because if you don't do that, you're giving people permission to call you at all times of the day. And that's taking away from family time. Right? You're teaching people how to treat you, and they don't value you if they can reach you every time they call.
Yes, I know. And we all know, those people that you give them an inch, they take a mile type of thing.
Absolutely.
Every time I decide to break that rule, because I have that's a similar rule. And every time I decide to break it, I always regret it, because then that's now the new standard. And then now it's not at 9 p.m. anymore, then they're upset. Because you're like, hey, you didn't get back to me. And it's like, well, I do plan my family vacations first when I'm doing goal planning for the next year. That's something, and I have like a once a quarter vacation, but it's not as much as I don't hit the 3 and the 7 as often, like a long weekend, vacation once a quarter, and then one or two longer ones twice a year. So you just hearing you and like seeing that you're implementing it is inspiring me to take more time off. I need it in my family. And thank you for sharing it and reinforcing it, because those of us, said that are hustlers and grinders, we need to hear that more than we need to hear other things. So another thing that I know you're super into is affirmations. If you're in the real estate world, if you're in kind of the entrepreneurial world, you probably hear this quite a bit. Everybody has a little bit different take on it. Curious for you, like, what's the structure of it for you? What helps you the most with affirmations?
So I will tell you the way I view affirmations. You know how they say, fake it until you make it? When I think of an affirmation, I'm speaking into existence the person I want to become. And so I started using affirmations when I was going through my personal journey of overcoming my fear of public speaking. It was something that held me back in my previous professional career from advancing. And I knew in order to have the type of life I wanted, I needed to get better at public speaking. So my affirmation at the time was a negative one. It was, I'm not good at public speaking. I'm afraid of getting in front of a group. That's an affirmation, right? And
yeah.
so because that's what I spoke into existence, that's how I showed up. And someone told me, you need to start saying, I look forward to public speaking. I look forward to the opportunities. I'm a great public speaker. Even though you're not, you have to speak that into existence. And so I started doing that. And over time, that became a reality. I am now in a position where I'm comfortable getting in front of a group because I spoke the person that I wanted to be into existence.
Got it. I've heard lots of different things. I think the biggest roadblock for a lot of people, I'm sure that you talk to, being vocal about affirmations is like, well, how do I believe something that's not true? It's a little bit of a nuance. It's not like, I own a private jet. I own a private jet. I don't think it's not necessarily about a possession thing. It's more so changing your thoughts, your mindset to become the person that you want to be in order to achieve your goals. Is that kind of where you're thinking? You're not saying something's not true or honest. It's a little bit different than that.
To give you an example, I did a class yesterday with newer real estate agents that had not gone after a listing before. So our affirmation was, I am a listing machine and listings come to me continuously. That was the affirmation we worked on yesterday. Now, some of them were thinking, well, I've never had a listing before. However, our sales, they eavesdrop on our thoughts. So when we say that out loud every day, I'm a listing machine and listings come to me continuously, we start changing our behavior. Well, what do I need to do to become a listing machine? Well, I need to know my scripts, right? I need to know how to overcome objections. I need to get on the phone and lead gen and prospect every day. And so you start showing up and your behavior changes, and then the activity and the outcomes change because you're putting the work in. And before you know it, you are a listing machine. It's not that you're just putting it out there and poof, you become one. You start doing the work and that shows up in your world.
And I think that's key. Those of us that are really big on affirmations, it's not just like you just say that to yourself, lie to yourself, and then not do anything act-wise. You have to know that the intent behind an affirmation is so that you go do the things that it takes to become what it is that you're affirming yourself about. I think that's what people miss, and they don't make that jump from, I'm just saying something that's not true, that doesn't help me. And sometimes it forces you to get honest with yourself about what you're actually willing to do, what you're actually willing to sacrifice or give up in order to become that person. I think that's a little bit of people's pushback about affirmations, I think, because it's easy to say, well, I want to be a top real estate agent. Are you willing to do what that current top agent does in order to become, become that? And I think a lot of people are not willing to say no, and it's easy to just say it and not do it unless you're making the steps and doing the things.
It's easy to say a lot of things. And one thing I always preach is that when you say something or you put something in your calendar, you do it with honor, which means that you actually follow through on the activities that will allow you to become that person that you're speaking into existence. If you can't keep that commitment to yourself, come on, do it with honor.
Yeah. Something that I come across quite a bit is how hard it is for real estate agents to keep the commitments to themselves. Some agents, I'll talk with them, they'll get super motivated, we'll set a plan for them, make it really specific, really simple. Can you execute this? Do you have the time to? Is this realistic? Is this measurable? Like all the things.
Right.
And then you talk to them the next week or a month later, whatever, and they don't do the things. I'm just curious, how do you help your coaching clients with that? Just, is it a mindset thing? Is it maybe you don't really want it kind of thing? What do you think is the disconnect there?
So there's a saying, logic makes people think, emotion makes people act. And so whenever I'm meeting with a new client, I really dig into motivation, whether it's a coaching client or a seller. It's, why are you selling your house? Why is that important to you? What's that going to do for you when you actually move to this new location? And ultimately, how do you feel once you're there? I'm digging into motivation. Same thing with the real estate agents that I coach. Why do you want to be a top producer? Why is that important to you? What is making all that money going to do for you? And then ultimately, once you're making it and you're able to give your family that life we discuss, how does that make you feel? When they actually open up and they tell me the feeling part of it, then I know what the motivation is.
Mm.
The issue is motivation isn't enough. It's
Yeah.
discipline.
Mm-hmm.
It's consistency and showing up every day and focusing on getting 1% better every day. And that's why accountability is so big. And what I do is, it's not what I expect from people, it's what I inspect. You said you were doing this. Why did you choose not to do it? Because you made a conscious choice. And the fact that you chose not to do it, you understand that that's keeping you from giving your family the life you said is so important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we have those types of conversations, people show up differently.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But it's about having that discipline that just, no matter if you feel motivated or not, you get up and you do the work because you committed to it and you do it every day. And if you do that, things happen gradually and then they happen suddenly and you start seeing the success. So that's the biggest thing, just the discipline.
Yeah. And I think it's that iceberg analogy where it's like, the largest part of the iceberg that you don't see, all the work that no one else sees underneath the water. And then all of a sudden we see, the pinnacle of that iceberg. And that's oh, David's made it. Oh, Jen's made it. Oh, whoever's made it. And that's what's highlighted. That's what we see on social media. That's what you see, publicly. But what you didn't see of all the, these people's success, people that aren't where they want to be, or they see, another agent, gosh, like, how did he get there? How did she get there? Like, I want to be there and I'm not. And I feel like I'm doing all the things. It's that person is just farther along in the journey than you. That's and exactly started with different tools and resources. And I always tell my people, there is somebody out there that started with less than you and started with more than you, and both have made it. In any industry, in anything that you're trying to get, somebody started with less than you, less opportunities, less resources, less people they knew, and they still made it. You can too. You just have to want it enough to get there.
Absolutely right. And the thing is, you see the people having success. I have people reach out to me, David, how do you have so many followers? Like, you don't understand. I've been talking and saying the same thing day after day, month after month, year after year. You're just seeing it now. When I started, I had 0, just like everyone has. And it's just a matter of putting in the work, having the discipline and the consistency day after day.
Absolutely. I want to touch on, because I think a lot of people that follow us they're trying to build their social media. They're trying to be a modern realtor and sell differently. Not that, principles and the consistency and the follow, not that that's any different, right? Like, hi, we're in a different age. We're in a different world. Social media is a big part of, I think, an important part of your business. So can you tell us a little bit about like your journey in growing some of your platforms? And because I know you've had to put consistency and discipline and accountability into you building your social media platforms. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey with that specifically?
I sure can. Here's the biggest piece of advice I got from a mentor. Are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V? Absolutely.
Gary V's my guy.
He said something, I'm sure you've heard it. Be the digital mayor of your town. When I heard that, it clicked. And so instead of, hey, I have an open house today from 1 to 4, or hey, I just sold this property, it was, hey, look at this new restaurant that just opened. Here's the menu, here's the food. And I'm going around town and I'm becoming the digital mayor and talking about the town I live in. I'm interviewing people who live there. I'm going to local fairs and taking photos and videos and sharing the town. I'm the digital mayor. And so for me, that's what really allowed me to grow my business. And it's so interesting. A video I did 10 years ago, I still get phone calls off of that video. And I don't even know where it is. It's out there in the YouTube world somewhere, but people still see it and they still resonate with it because I didn't focus on, oh, I'm David, I'm so great. I sell so many houses. You should hire me. I didn't make it about that. I made it about the town and the people, right? Of course, I do share my success.
Sure.
They don't want to hear that. They want to know, who am I? And I'm documenting my day and documenting my process and what I do every day. And people resonate with that.
Absolutely.
So I would say share who you are, share your town, talk about your town. And of course, use proper hashtags. And there are certain things that you have to do to increase your reach. But it's really about being the digital mayor. No matter what industry you're in, if you want to grow your reach and grow your following, be the digital mayor of the town you live in or the area that you want to focus on.
Yes, no, I have heard Gary say that, and it's so true. It's people are thinking about you way less than you think that they are. And so
Yes.
people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So that's why leading with value, exactly what you're saying.
Yep.
If you can take focus off of you and put it on others, like what would someone moving here want to know about where we live? You know, I was like, how do I, and people just get so stuck in, I think, okay, my farm area. Okay, I got to go door knocking and I have to like, it can be so much more creative, so much more fun with
Yes.
social media. And I think that, and there's so much out here. I mean, if people went and followed any of your platforms, they're going to get lots of different ideas on how to do that. And speaking of that, if it's someone just starting, not as even necessarily in real estate, but someone who's like, I know that social media is where I got to be. I want to do it. Be great for a week and then I'll fall off. And then I just a lot from it. But they know that it's important. You and I, we've got multiple platforms, but we didn't. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't start all 4 or 5 platforms at the same time and put the same amount of effort into all 4 or 5 of those, did you?
No, I did not.
So what would you suggest to somebody who's trying to level up their social media or get started in it to try and grow a following?
I will tell you, based on what I've been seeing lately, I would focus on TikTok and I would focus on YouTube, specifically YouTube Shorts right now. Yep. And I would say provide value and don't get caught up in the metrics. Don't look at all the likes and the comments. Just be consistent. The beauty of social media nowadays is that the videos that you're doing, you may not get a lot of likes and comments, but people are paying attention. And you just want that mind share. You want them to open up TikTok or open up YouTube and see your face and hear your content. So focus on providing value. I don't talk about my coaching programs. I don't say sign up for my class. It starts tomorrow. I never talk about that. I give so much value that people are like, this guy's giving me so much. What else does he have? And they're seeking that information from me because I'm focused on providing value.
Absolutely. And that's even what I did, just as like someone that's in the same space as you and doing the same things. I was like, what's his, like, okay, his link tree, boom, you know, so like I had to look a little bit like, okay, what is he up to? People get that confused a little bit. It's like, no. Like if you're providing value, people are going to want to know that. People don't like just in your face, most people in your face sales, because you can just sniff it out. It just is a turnoff for a lot of people. So relate and agree with you as far as leading with value, giving people what they want to see, what they want to hear, building that trust, building a relationship and caring about them, whether or not end up joining your coaching call or not. You never know, down the road, something might change, or maybe they direct somebody to you, even if they don't use. So you just never know.
The biggest piece I will say about that, though, is if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. So you have to say every day between, 2 and 2:30, I'm focused on my posts and replying to comments, right? So you have to put it on your calendar and do it. No matter how you feel, it's part of your business plan to grow your business, and you have to do it every day.
100%. So for you, when you were building, what did you start with first?
Facebook, and then I got into Instagram, then YouTube, then TikTok. I was a little late on TikTok. I really thought it, I have daughters. I thought it was about singing and dancing. And again, I heard Gary Vee say, look at my content. I don't sing and I don't dance. And I started following him on TikTok, and I'm like, oh, I don't have to sing and dance. Number one, I can't dance and I can't sing. So I had to, just be me. And it's paid off.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I even feel like I was a little bit late. I mean, I have a pretty healthy following, but I had to be convinced and like over and over again, same kind of thing, listening to Gary Vee, listening to, some marketing people that are in my network. They're like, don't sleep on TikTok. You're missing it. You're missing out. You better get on it. It's the next wave of real estate agents coming to the market. It's the next wave of home buyers and sellers. And so it's hard, I being in the industry for over a decade, it's like, those people are babies, but we're here to tell you, encourage the people that are listening. Usually the people that are first at the table that everyone's calling crazy and downplaying. Those are the game changers. Those are the world changers. Those are the people that like, they're crazy until it works. And then everyone's like, shoot, I wish I would have jumped on that train when it got first.
That's right. They're like, they were a genius, right? I hear you.
And it's like, okay, sure, some things might be a flop in this day and age. If you're not first, to the table, then you miss out. If you're not first, you're last.
And the biggest thing is it's free. It's sweat equity. It's free.
Yep.
Do it.
Yeah. Yep. And don't give up. It is just as difficult as mentally, at least for me. I don't know, maybe for you is different. I mean, I built my business cold calling. So like that's what I did. That phone was 100 pounds when I first picked it up. The first lots of times I picked it up, you know, actually get used to it. It gets a habit, and then it's second nature, and then it's fun. Social media has been just as much of a grind for me. Yeah, I don't get up every day and I'm excited to film content, people. And because they look at people like you and me like, oh, like, well, you guys are just good at it. You don't have any insecurities about putting your face on video, or you don't have any insecurities about like, you're good at speaking and da da da. And it's like, okay, then to hear you be like, I had to get over my fear of public speaking. That was one of my biggest fears I had in life. It's like, no. This is not easy for you and I. We had to work just as hard, if not harder than the next person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. My first time doing video on Instagram, I would redo a video 15 times.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I could be on video and sneeze, and I'm like, just keep going. Like, I don't care, because there's a saying that I operate on: done is better than perfect.
Yes.
I just put it out there. And sometimes when you're human and mistakes happen, people love you even more because you just share who you are. You're sharing your personality and your experience. It doesn't have to be perfect. Stop judging. The people will tell you if the content resonates by the follows, the likes, the views. Just put it out there. If it flops, it flops.
You can see that evident in the evolution of specific social media platforms, but also between platform to platform. So Instagram used to be perfectly curated, beautiful people and pictures. And like, that was what was important. And that's what the algorithm liked. Celebrities bawling, you know, talking about their biggest insecurity in life, right? Or like, or behind the scenes. People love behind the scenes, like what's actually happening. And then TikTok just went with behind the scenes, raw, real, and uncut, just to the extreme, right? So
that's right.
But that's the evolution of what people want and what they want to see. One thing that a coach of mine in the past said to me: sometimes you need to plan the planning of the social media. So what is your strategy, right? So maybe once a week you sit down and you say, okay, for 30 minutes or an hour, I'm going to plan out, or maybe do some like intentional research, intentional scrolling of like, okay, let me pick some topics that I want to do for next week. So that way on Monday, because maybe Monday's your social media filming day or something, you know exactly what you're talking about. I've found with people that ask me, you're like, oh, like I've set aside this time to film, but like, then I just get caught not knowing what to do. And, you know, and then I just don't do it. So just, that's a key thing that just, you made me think of it, that I wanted to share with people as well. So,
well, I think you just have to document your day. As an example, as a real estate coach, I'm having this great interview with you for your podcast. I'm recording this right now so people can see me sitting here and see the recording happening. Right. So they'll get a 10-second little snip into my life. Like, what do I do every day? I'm being purposeful about just documenting what I do. And that's what agents need to do. That's how we should be operating every day.
The more that you focus on that, the easier it gets. So like, for example, I had a breakfast meeting with a colleague the other day, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to take social media. I was like, let's do it at a really bougie brunch spot. Okay, perfect. Found, you know, it was like, oh, we're just going to have breakfast because we need to collab. And I'm like, well, no, let's go ahead and take some content. And so we just did a few sweeping shots of the food and the drinks and the front door and whatever. And then I posted it. It takes a little bit of thought, a little bit of effort, but it's no brainer, you know. And then I got that business. I said, here's the original video. I'll share this. Go ahead and tag it. Use your own music. And boom, they're like, oh my gosh, this video is amazing. Like, yeah. And so then they share, you know, so it's just,
that's right.
Think about how you can create content, just like you're saying, with everything throughout your day. I've got, and behind the scenes thing, you know, I've got a ring light and a softbox and all that. Like, people want to see, well, how do you do it? What's going on here? And it's like, so just simple things like that can absolutely be your content, just what you do on a day-to-day basis.
I completely agree with you.
Let's switch gears here. What is one of the best pieces of advice from a mentor that you had about building a business?
That's actually a really great question. One of my coaches, Mike Ferry, once said to me, you have two jobs in real estate. You have a job in the morning. So typically 8 to 12, it's all about mindset. It's about scripting and role playing, lead generating, and then doing follow-up. That's your morning job. Your job in the afternoon: go on appointments, preview property, write up offers, negotiate contracts, right? That's what you do in the afternoon. And the reason why that was such a great piece of advice, I was working really hard on the phone. I'm like you, I'm a prospector. So I'm like making calls all day. And the minute someone said, David, I'll meet with you, I dropped everything and ran to their house. I stopped doing my lead gen, right? And I ran to their house. And when they gave me the listing, I got so caught up in dealing with the listing, scheduling photographers, getting the house ready, doing broker opens, that I stopped doing lead gen to deal with that listing. So my business was like this, a roller coaster, right? Where it needs to just be like this, which means the mornings, no matter what, it's about finding new business. The afternoons are about dealing with existing business. And when he told me that and I followed that system, I always had business in my pipeline because I never stopped lead generating. 100%. That was the best piece of advice. And I wish agents understood that you have two jobs. Taking care of business never takes precedent over finding new business. That's your goal in the morning.
Yep. No, and I love it because I preach this all the time too. It's like real estate's just, it is going to be a roller coaster, but instead of it being high highs, low lows, even if you can just get it to be like this, not throw up every time we're coming down the hill. You know what I mean? Like, so that's just nice, like boat ride, you know, a little bit of rocking is fine, but at least you're going to be safe and not vomit off the side. And that it just, that's what it takes. It takes not giving up the most important part about your business when business comes. I love that. And it's so true.
And all of this made me think of something too. Another piece of advice. We have to be like this when we're dealing with our clients. You imagine a duck on a lake. They look smooth going across the lake, but underneath, those feet are moving.
100%.
Our clients need to see us always being calm, right? Because the minute we freak out, they freak out. They look to us to know how to respond to certain situations. So we always want to be that duck. That was a great piece of advice. And I would never freak out in front of my clients. I would go to the office and freak out in front of all the other agents. But in front of my clients, I would just be that duck on the water. And that advice served me very well.
I love that analogy. It's a little bit of some emotional intelligence and a mental toughness that it makes a huge difference, because so often I have to catch myself too, because you're working with clients in a transaction, you build a relationship with them, you care about them, you start to know their family situation. And when you feel like an injustice is done, or like, you know, you don't win in a negotiation, or you feel like the other side's being unfair, it can be really difficult to not get emotional about that and start playing well, that's not fair, and then that, like you're saying, if you're showing that to your clients and you're not emotionally stable, then it makes it worse for them, and so they're like, oh, this isn't fair, and then it just, even though like you care about them and you're fighting for them, at the end it's like there's this tension, even though it's not towards you. And I find that, like, I don't get as good of reviews when I do, even though it's like I'm passionate about them, but there's something about detaching a little bit. Not that you don't care, but being that beacon, being that hub. Imagine a toddler screaming and crying about something, going to a parent that's like, I've got you, it's going to be okay. And versus a parent's like, oh my gosh, what happened? What does it do to the kid? Right? Like people
riles them up.
People feed off of your energy. And even adults, you walk into a room, if someone's hunched over and avoiding eye contact and their body language is awful, are you going to walk up to, like, I mean, I might, because it's just me, but like, can I make your day better? But but the majority of people aren't attracted to people that have bad energy. And so just anyway, being aware about how you are impacting other people will make you a better real estate agent. It'll make people refer you a bit more business. It'll help you make more money. So I love that you brought that up, because there's so much to unpack with that analogy about just
absolutely. I so agree.
Awesome. Love that. Well, you gave some really, really good mentor advice on that. What's one thing that you implement, or that you would give advice to somebody that's like, okay, like I didn't hit my goals, this year didn't pan out how I wanted to. What should they do to prepare for next year?
You know, so it's really interesting because we are in the fourth quarter, and this is a time that typically real estate agents take their foot off the gas. So the biggest strategy to hit the goal next year is to understand that although it's December, we're already in next year, because the work we're doing right now shows up as a paycheck, 3 months later. And so I explain to people, you have to understand about 15% of your business needs to be under contract in going into January in order for you to hit your goal next year. So yes, I want you to enjoy the holidays. Yes, I want you to enjoy your family, but don't stop working. Get your unfair share when everybody else is unplugged right now, because most agents from Halloween through Super Bowl Sunday aren't working.
100%. Yeah.
Work.
Yeah.
Work. Get your unfair share, and that's going to help you hit your goal. So to me, that's like the best advice I give people. Yes, enjoy your time off. When you're working, put in your hours, put in your time, get your unfair share right now.
Love it. Yeah, I tell people, get a running start into the new year for that exact reason. What you're doing now is going to impact the next 2 to 3 months. So you're already going to start behind if you took the last 2 months of the year off. Like your first quarter is shot. If that's
shot. It's shot. And I don't know about you, I need a paycheck in January and February and March. I have bills to pay because the bills keep coming. So we have to continue working.
As independent contractors, taxes come real quick, right in the beginning of the year. Yep.
Not just taxes, but all our realtor dues, right? All these fees come up. We have to have paychecks coming in order to pay for them.
100%. You wrap up questions here for you. I want to know, when did you start P.U.S.H, your coaching program?
I started P.U.S.H right at the end of 2018. I got to a point in real estate where I was getting more joy coaching people and helping them learn how to overcome objections and get listings and earn 6% commission. And I'm like, you know what? I really enjoy doing this more than I enjoy going out and getting sales myself. And so I just did a hard stop and I started P.U.S.H, and it worked. Like, people really needed to know, what do I say and how do I say it? Because what I found is that people know what they need to do in order to be successful in real estate, but they were sitting on the sidelines and not playing because they didn't know how to respond to the objections they were getting. Or they were afraid that someone would say, yes, come out and meet with me. And they didn't know how to do the listing presentation and how to go out and present to a seller. So that's what I train agents on, like what to say to create the opportunity for the listing. And then once you get the listing appointment, how to go there and get the listing paperwork signed, how to get it priced correctly, how to, fight for your commission so that you can get your fair share of commission. And once I started showing people how that works, my program just exploded. Like, after the first month, people started taking my program. The initial people who took the program are cappers, and they're doing extremely well in their business because they understand the fundamentals and the basics.
Some of the people that are listening to this, some of them are, maybe they're struggling in real estate, or that, they need to hire a coach. So I want to ask you about that. But I also want to ask you a question or two about maybe somebody that wants to do what you're doing, somebody that is successful in real estate. They built a business, but maybe they're experiencing burnout. They want to have greater impact and help other people, just like you're doing. That's my kind of vision as well, which is why I'm doing, some similar things to you. So for people like that specifically that have those types of goals, when you said you made a hard stop and started P.U.S.H, does that mean you stopped and got out of production and just dove right into coaching? Did you do a little both for a while? Like, what did that transition look like for you?
It was a hard stop for me, and I went into referral status. So if I had a client, I would refer it out. I really wanted to focus on helping other people. There's a saying, and I forget who said it: you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And so my whole focus was, let me help you get into production. Let me show you what you need to be doing. Let me hold you accountable. Let me show you the discipline required to be a successful listing agent. I focus on listings. There's nothing wrong with working with buyers. However, I learned early on, if I want to have control over my income and of my time, it's better to be listing focused. And so it was a hard stop for me. And I'm not saying everyone has to do a hard stop. That worked for me. And I have the support of my wife, and I saved money. So it was okay for me to just take some time and really focus on coaching. And luckily, it just took off from the beginning. So I was very fortunate in that respect.
Pretty incredible that you just cut cold turkey. I think that people have a fear of doing that because, as you know, the day you stop selling real estate is the day you stop making money. And I think that's really encouraging to hear. Like you said, not that that's everybody's path or option to do that, but you obviously managed your time and your money wisely and were able to make that jump. And you believed in yourself and you had family support. So I think that's amazing. What, just out of curiosity, well, I'm gonna ask about the coaching program, what that looks like if someone were to join, but I also want to know, how many hours a week do you think you spend on average as a coach solely?
That's a tough one. I've never thought about that. I'm very good about respecting my time. So you're not going to get me super early in the morning. You're not going to get me after 5 o'clock, right? I protect my time and I protect my weekends. I would say 30 to 40 hours, when you think about the coaching and you think about the calls that I host and the seminars that I go out and do and the Zooms and the podcasts that I do, it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it though, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm serving my purpose of helping other people. So it doesn't feel like I work that often because I really enjoy what I do. But it's a full-time job.
Do you feel like you have freedom with it?
I do have freedom. You know why?
Yes, tell me.
Because I live a life by design, not by default. I schedule myself and I make sure that I have freedom.
Awesome.
And we have to be intentional about that. If we don't, real estate will fill the time allowed, just like anything.
Yes. Yes.
So I schedule my freedom in. I make sure that I'm not back-to-back calls all day where I can't go fix lunch or my dog is sitting here, take my dog outside or do the things I need to do. So yes, there is freedom because I control my schedule. And I think that's one lesson most real estate agents need to learn. You control your schedule. You control when you show properties and when the inspections happen and when photographers show up. If you're busy, that's on you because you set those appointments up. Make it work for your life and make it work for your schedule.
And the beautiful thing about that is that everything's an appointment and no one's going to question you. You want to get your nails done at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday? I have an appointment at 11, but I can show you homes at 2 or whatever it is. It's like,
and they never question it.
They never question. Oh, I already have an appointment there. And guess what? Your lead generation, that 8 to noon, that 9 to 11, whatever it is, that's an appointment. It's an appointment with yourself. And very rarely should you break that appointment, even if someone wants to see a house and it's about to go off the market. You know what I mean?
I respect you more. You're a professional. If they can always reach you, if you're always available, what are you doing? You're not doing your job if you're always available.
100%. Somebody wanted to join your coaching program. What does that look like? Do you have different tiers? Is it all the same? Like what does that look like?
I have different tiers. I always recommend follow me on Instagram and I'll share my information at the end of the call. Follow me on Instagram or go to my website. I have a couple of different coaching programs that I do. My morning mindset call is free. So I invite everyone to join. And I'm non-denominational. Yes, I work for Keller Williams. I have agents from all companies from different states join that call because I believe we can all help each other grow and there's enough business for all of us. So I invite everyone into my world, into my tribe. And then I also have my P.U.S.H program, which is actually a paid program where you're meeting with me twice a week for 2.5 hours each session, where we're doing formal training on how to learn scripts, how to internalize scripts, how to process an objection and overcome an objection, and then how to master the listing presentation soup to nuts and give you confidence through role playing to get in front of a seller and know that you know what to say and how to say it so that you can be present for that conversation and not be in your head thinking about how to respond. You're able to be present for that conversation.
2.5 hours each time, twice a week.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's incredible. So that one's the paid service if they were to join in the P.U.S.H program, correct?
P.U.S.H program. Yes. And I also have a mastermind that I'm starting in January for agents that just need the discipline and accountability and encouragement. I do have a subscription-based mastermind that's starting, which is a monthly program, or you can pay annually if you choose and save some money, but it's a monthly, once a week meeting with me for an hour where we go over, just the accountability piece and making sure you're doing your job.
That's awesome. I love it. You've got kind of a group option that's, monthly. You've got one-on-ones that's like intensive. And then your free morning motivation Tuesday, Thursday. Cool.
I have a lot going on and I'm working. My website is under development where you'll be able to watch videos that explains every program and what I do and what I offer. The best thing is there's so much you can tap into that's free. I'm coming from contribution. I want to help people and I give enough where if you just plug into what I say on TikTok and Instagram, you can get started. And yet when you're ready for more, there's more there.
Absolutely. I've got a similar philosophy and process as well. It's like, you follow both of us on all the social media platforms, but but definitely there's always more that we can give. So perfect. So that's where you can find David Radney. You guys definitely go follow him. He's a great follow. You will be uplifted, encouraged on all of his platforms, all of the videos. You guys, he's a genuine one, and just somebody that I, on so many levels just connected with without even meeting him. And that's the power of social media, which is why he and I are just we so believers in it. Like, we know it works. And it connects you with really cool people that you otherwise would never have had the chance to. So last questions for you, David, before I let you go. I'm curious, and I think other people would be too, just knowing your story and knowing how far you've come and all the things that you've accomplished. What's the future look like for you? What goals do you have? I'm sure there's more, because I know our personalities, and there's always more. So
if you follow me on social, you'll know that I have two passions. One is coaching and helping agents. The other is my nature and landscape photography. Mm-hmm. It's my way to share gratitude. I like to show people the world, the beautiful images, the animals, the landscapes that I see. And so my goal is to do a lot of traveling. My wife, Michelle, is in corporate America and pharmaceutical sales, and she travels a lot, worldwide travel. And so my goal is to travel with her and do my photography, and then coach online, coach remotely, no matter where I'm located. So I just want to be a nomad and be out there just exploring this world. And so my mission is to grow my business big enough where I can help more people and travel and share gratitude through my photography. So that's my goal. And my youngest is 14. And so I have a few years to get that all lined up before she's off to school, where I can actually freely travel. Mm-hmm. So in the next 4 to 5 years, I want to put that in place where I can help people nationwide or even worldwide with real estate, and do it from any location and really enjoy the world through my camera lens.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, I would love to have you back. I've got 2 last questions for you, because I know there's so many more, many more questions I have here on the list that I didn't get to. So we'll have to chat again. But what is your favorite Scotch?
So I like peaty scotches, which means that when you smell them, it smells like a campfire. So for me, there's one called Lefroy, and there's another one called Lagavulin. Those are my favorite. You sit by a fire pit with a cigar and you sip on those. I'm in heaven. My
husband would get along with you very well. Love it. Awesome. All right. Well, my last question for you is there any question I didn't ask you that you wish I would have?
That's always a great question. And I think you did a really good job. I think if there was something that I wanted to say to everyone who's listening to your podcast, who's in real estate, is that real estate's really simple. It's not easy. And you need to make sure that you're getting training on how to be successful. There are blueprints out there. There are plenty of people who have started out, like you said earlier. Some started out a long time ago, some started recently, and they're having success. Look at what they're doing and follow the blueprint and be disciplined around the activities. It's really about the thing I didn't understand getting into real estate is that it's a people business, and it's all about talking to people and getting in the middle of conversations. And so everything that you do, every person that you meet is a potential client. You can't be a secret agent. Wear your name tag, wear a shirt or a hat with your company logo, and everyone you meet, share your goals. I always said to people, hey, Richard, nice meeting you. Listen, as a real estate agent, I have a goal of helping 30 families this year. Who do you know that I should be talking to right now that wants to buy, sell, or invest? If Richard's looking to buy, sell, or invest, he's going to tell me. If he's not, he's going to refer me to someone. However, I have to be purposeful about having that conversation. You guys have to be purposeful about talking to people and getting in the middle of conversation so that you can find your next deal. You cannot be a secret agent and be successful in real estate.
Love it. We just got a script right there, folks.
And it's an easy script, and it works. It works.
It does. Yeah. And you know what? And it's so not sales. It's like, hey, you're leading with like, hey, this is a goal, and who doesn't want to help? Like if someone can do something to help another person reach a goal, people love to help, right? Yep. So leading, in a way that's not just like, hey, are you looking to buy or sell? It's like, I have this goal. Do you know anyone that can help me? You know,
Right.
it's an easy one and it works. Well, David, it's been an absolute pleasure. I knew this was going to be a really, really, really good interview, but it totally, surpassed my expectations. And I just really appreciate your willingness to share, value, to share what your passions are. And it truly does help other people. And I can see it. You can see in your comments that people are like, thank you so much for this, because I just implemented what you said and it got me the listing, or whatever it might be. You can see that. And people know that you're genuine and that you provide a lot of value. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on today. And I'll hope to have you back.
I would love to come back. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.